Then the slightly better than hell is the animal realm. And the animal realm, animal we are able to see around us. And the Buddha said in the Samyutta Nikaya that there is no other single group so diverse as the creatures of the animal world. And the Buddha said they are so diverse because they are all thought out by mind. And mind is even more diverse or more complex. It's because our mind is so complex that we take rebirth in these forms. For example, the Buddha said there are some beings that move very stealthily, very sneakily. And for example, snakes or rats or some of these low creatures. And it's because these beings were behaving like that, very sneaky, very cunning and all that. That's why they are reborn in those realms. And you can see that animals, they have a violent nature. They have a very angry nature, hot-tempered. They are also very greedy, lustful. And so you can understand people with that kind of nature who are very greedy, lustful, hot-tempered, don't keep the precepts, don't follow the law, gangsters, etc. Then they are reborn as animals. And there is some description of the animal realm also in the Majjhima Nikaya, in the Bala Pandita Sutta, when the Buddha said, monks, there are animals that feed on grass. They eat by cropping fresh or dried grass with their teeth. And what animals feed on grass? Elephants, horses, cattle, donkeys, goats and deer, and any other such animals. A fool who formerly delighted in taste here and did evil actions here, on the dissolution of the body after death, he appears in the company of animals that feed on grass. There are animals that feed on dung. They smell dung from a distance and run to it thinking, we can eat, we can eat. Just as Brahmins run to the smell of a sacrifice thinking, we can eat, we can eat. So too these animals that feed on dung smell dung from a distance and run to it thinking, we can eat, we can eat. And what animals feed on dung? Fowls, pigs, dogs and jackals and any other such animals. A fool who formerly delighted in taste here and did evil actions here, on the dissolution of the body after death, he appears in the company of animals that feed on dung. There are animals that are born, age and die in darkness. And what animals are born, age and die in darkness? Moths, maggots and earthworms and any other such animals. A fool who formerly delighted in taste here and did evil actions here, on the dissolution of the body after death, he appears in the company of animals that are born, age and die in darkness. There are animals that are born, age and die in water. And what animals are born, age and die in water? Fish, turtles and crocodiles and any other such animals. A fool who formerly delighted in taste here and did evil actions here, on the dissolution of the body after death, he appears in the company of animals that are born, age and die in water. There are animals that are born, age and die in filth or excrement. And what animals are born, age and die in filth? Those animals that are born, age and die in a rotten fish, or in a rotten corpse, or in rotten dough, or in a cesspit, or in a sewer. A fool who formerly delighted in taste here and did evil actions here, on the dissolution of the body after death, he appears in the company of animals that are born, age and die in filth. Monks, I could tell you in many ways about the animal kingdom, so much so that it is hard to find a simile for the suffering in the animal kingdom. Suppose a man threw into the sea a yoke with a hole in it, and the east wind carried it to the west, and the west wind carried it to the east, and the north wind carried it to the south, and the south wind carried it to the north. Suppose there were a blind turtle that came up once at the end of each century. What do you think, monks? Would that blind turtle put his neck into that yoke with one hole in it? And they said, he might one day, sometime or other at the end of a long period. And the Buddha said, monks, the blind turtle would take less time to put his neck into that yoke with a single hole in it than a fool, once gone to perdition, would take to regain the human state, I say. Why is that? Because there's no practicing of the Dhamma there, no practicing of what is righteous, no doing of what is wholesome, no performance of merit. There mutual devouring prevails and the slaughter of the weak. I'll stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha is saying that this simile of a yoke. A yoke is that kind of wood where the oxen, the bullock cart, the bull has to drag the bullock cart. The bull is tied with this piece of wood that goes around his neck, and so he has to pull that. So that is that yoke with a hole in it. So this piece of wood with a hole in it, the size of the neck of a bull, is in the ocean, and the ocean is so vast, and this wood is swept about by the wind. And then there is a blind turtle in that ocean. And once in every 100 years, the blind turtle will surface to breathe. What is the chance of the blind turtle putting the head through the hole? The chances are very slim because the ocean is so big and the turtle is blind and the wood is being swept here and there. But the Buddha said it's easier for the turtle to put the head through the hole in the wood than for a person who has gone to the hell or to the animal realm to get back the human form. Because in those places like the animal realm or in hell, there's no chance to do any good. Only like the animals, they only do evil by eating each other, killing each other. The Buddha also said, to read the sutta again, if some time or other at the end of a long period, that fool comes back to the human state, it is into a low family that he is reborn, into a family of outcasts or hunters or bamboo workers or cartwrights or scavengers, one that is poor with little to eat and drink, surviving with difficulty, where he scarcely finds food and clothing, and he is ugly, unsightly, and misshapen, sickly, blind, cripple-handed, lame, or paralyzed. He gets no food, drink, clothes, vehicles, garlands, scents, and unguents, bed, lodging, and light. And if he misconducts himself in body, speech, and mind, having done that, on the dissolution of the body after death, he reappears in a state of deprivation, in an unhappy destination, in perdition, even in hell. I'll stop here for a moment. So if a person who comes up from the animal or the hell realm is reborn as a human being, and because of his bad karma, he'll be reborn in a very difficult circumstances. And his body might be misshapen and unsightly also. And then he finds it very difficult to get a living. And if he is so foolish as to misconduct himself again in body, speech and mind, then he falls back into the animal or hell realm again. And the Buddha said, monks, suppose a gambler at the very first unlucky throw loses his child and his wife and all his property, and furthermore goes into slavery himself. Yet an unlucky throw such as that is negligible. It is a far more unlucky throw when a fool who misconducts himself in body, speech and mind on the dissolution of the body after death reappears in a state of deprivation, in an unhappy destination, in perdition, even in hell. This is the complete perfection of the fool's grave. That's the end of the sutta. So you see, if a person is so foolish as to misconduct himself, then he is what the Buddha calls a perfect fool. Just as a gambler he gambles. The first throw only, he loses all his property and his wife and children, and he himself goes into slavery himself. And that is terrible already. But the Buddha said that is nothing compared to a person who does bad, evil karma and falls into hell, to the animal realm. And then the Buddha also said in the Anguttara Nikaya, there is no other bondage which is such an obstacle to winning liberation as rebirth in hell or in the animal realm. Because there's no chance to practice the Dhamma in hell or the animal realm. That's why it's a great bondage to be reborn there. But then sometimes animals, you can see some of them also have a human nature. What we call yen sing, is it? Yen sing in Cantonese. For example, dogs. Last time it seems I had a grandmother. When she was young, she was staying in Kuala Lumpur, Pudu in those old days. They had a slaughterhouse there. And they used to pull these cows past her house to the slaughterhouse to slaughter. And she used to see these cows being dragged to slaughter. They struggle, they know they're going to be slaughtered. And they cry, and they refuse to go. You pull them also, they put down their two legs. And then when you continue to pull them, tears come down their eyes. Even like presently, even like on certain Muslim festivals, they slaughter the cows. Even you can see some of them, the tears come down. Many years ago, when I was working in Kuantan, one morning I went to work. I drove past by the road. I saw a dead calf. Later I found out from one of the office mates, around midnight, one taxi running very fast. Some of these cows, they like to sleep on the road because the road is warm. So this calf got hit by the taxi and died. So from midnight, the mother, so loving, was trying to wake up this calf, was licking the calf. So at 8 o'clock when I went to office, I passed this cow. I saw the cow there licking the baby, trying to revive the baby, licking. And then around noon, when I went out for, around lunchtime, I went out for lunch. Again, I saw the cow still there, trying to wake up the baby, licking the baby. So you see the mother's love for the baby, you can see even in that cow. At least 12 hours she was just there trying to revive the baby. So you see how much sort of pain she felt when her baby got killed by this cow. So you can see this, some of these animals have this human nature. Also, one of our members, the father told me that one of his friends went hunting and they shot this monkey, and the monkey with the baby. The monkey fell down. The monkey pleaded with the hunter, put the two palms together and bowed to the hunter 3 times, And the hunter saw that, he was so moved. From that day onwards, he hung up his gun, refused to go hunting anymore, gave up hunting. So that's why from some of these animal behavior, you can believe that some of them were humans before and reborn in the animal realm. So we have to be very careful. If we don't want to be reborn as an animal, we must not have this animal nature. Otherwise, we can be reborn. You see the difference between the animal and the hell realm is that even though the animal realm, they suffer so much, yet if the pain is too great, they can die. That's a blessing. Like if you torture an animal, the pain is too great, you cannot stand, you will die. But in hell, you get tortured, you want to die, you cannot die. So the suffering in hell is much, much worse than the animal realm.